Hello, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Shelley Troyer, and I'm here to introduce today's guest lecturer for our Tech Tips series. Our Tech Tips series is our weekly series where we get together and talk about technology here at K-State and how to incorporate it into your daily workflow. A couple things about our website. It does have information on upcoming sessions. It looks like we still need to add the one for next week. But if you have missed any of our previous sessions, we do keep the recordings on this website, so you can go there to find any recordings. A few more housekeeping items. I have muted everybody's microphones, so if you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to send them in over the chat, and then we will get to those at the end. Or at the end, if you would like to unmute your microphone, feel free to do that and ask your question live. So I think for today, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our guest speaker, Sheila Ellis Glasper from Communications and Marketing. Sheila, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Sheila Ellis Glasper. I am the social media specialist for the university, and my job is to manage the different social media channels for the university.
And screen share.
I am going to go ahead and share my screen here with y'all.
You can just do the entire desktop, so the first one, and then share screen.
Okay, so we can go ahead and get started here. Okay, so the title of today's tech tip is tweeting. Should you be tweeting? And I just wanted to share a couple of quick Twitter stats with you all before we get started. And so I'm not going to read each one, but you can see them here. I think that basically we're just kind of trying to communicate the number of people that are actually using Twitter actively and how you can use Twitter as a powerful tool to get your message out. And so if you see, one of the key stats here is 80% of Twitter active users are on mobile. So that's very important when we're thinking about our visuals and different graphics that we share on Twitter in particular. If you use really small text in a graphic, just know that a lot of the users on Twitter are using Twitter or accessing Twitter through their mobile device. Also, 79% of Twitter users are outside of the United States. Which leads to the next one. Twitter is available in 35 languages. 5 million tweets sent out per day. And one of the other key stats here that I thought was pretty interesting is that nearly 2/3 of US adults are using Twitter to get news. I wanted to show you guys our first tweet as a university in 2009. This is when Twitter was really getting a lot of popularity, and this was the university's very first tweet. As you can see, it didn't have a photo, it didn't have a video, a GIF or anything there. It just had text, but we already were kind of forming our personality on Twitter. It didn't have much engagement going on here, but this was our very first tweet. Talk to you guys a little bit about the K-State Twitter community. We have a very active Twitter community with the university. We have over 80 official K-State college department program unit or administrator accounts. And our university Twitter account currently has over 43,000 followers. And the goal of our K-State Twitter account is to provide official K-State news and curate the K-State story using our content themes that reflect K-State 2025 goals. Wanted to talk also about what makes a good tweet. According to research from Twitter, they researched a few million verified accounts on Twitter, and this is what they came up with. Photos are giving an average of a 35% boost to retweets, videos, quotes giving a nice boost to retweets as well. And then also looking at the including numbers in your tweets will also give you a retweet boost. And what they mean by that is not just like sports stats, like a score from a game. It's also those tweets that you see for different content or blogs where it's like 5 top destinations to travel to this year or whatever type of content it is. Just putting that number a lot of times will make people click through onto your link. And also hashtags. We know that trending hashtags is definitely something that will give you a boost and give more visibility to your tweets. And we'll talk about hashtags here in a little bit. Just kind of reiterating that visuals are super important on Twitter. These are some stats here, just kind of when you're using tweets with images, you'll get more click-throughs, more favorites, and more retweets. And so, and not just any image, we want to make sure that it's a good quality image and an attention-grabbing image. So you want to think about colors. If you have people in them, people are really great. And just overall photo composition, visuals are really important on Twitter nowadays. And so I just have some examples here of our high-performing tweets this semester for the K-State account. This is kind of an example of trend jacking, not really, because we kind of knew in advance that Kansas Day was coming up, but we utilized that information to make a little graphic that we knew would do well on social media. And so we have a little graphic here for Kansas Day. We utilized the hashtag that was trending in our region at that time, which was hashtag Kansas Day. And you can see there that the tweet received over 100 retweets there and over 100 favorites. So that was a popular one. Also, this is a really good example of trend jacking. And what I mean by trend jacking is when you're on Twitter, on your left-hand side, I believe you'll see the top trending hashtags every day, and that changes throughout the day. And on this particular day, we noticed that GIF Party was actually trending on Twitter. And so we utilized that hashtag and made a quick little GIF based off of one of the videos that we had of the Kansas State University flag waving in the air. And we were able to tie in one of our university campaigns, Wildcat Way, in this tweet as well. And so this one did pretty good with 23 retweets here. This one is an example of promoting cross channels. And so on this particular tweet, we showcased a photo that we had on our Instagram feed and let people know that, hey, if you follow us on Instagram, you can see more of these type of campus beauty shots. And so that's always good to promote across channels and let people know that you are on other channels. And here's another one where we use the same concept, except we used the platform Snapchat to let people know that we were on Snapchat as well. Just letting your audience know that you do have content on other channels. And since Twitter is one of our older social media channels, we always use it to promote our newer channels like Instagram and Snapchat. And so here we'll just talk about some of the best practices when tweeting, and so it's what to tweet or what not to tweet. And I'll show you really quickly. We have a social media blog for the university where we talk about best practices, and I'm going to go to that website really quickly here. We have a blog post on here, how to create a Twitter content strategy. And I'm just going to go over a few of these examples here when we're talking about best practices. And so one of the first keys here is listening and observing. And so whether you have a university account that you're managing for a department or college program on campus, or if you're an administrator or a professor using social media or Twitter in particular to promote the university, then listening and observing other accounts that are similar will definitely help you come up with your own content strategy. Looking at writing tweets towards specific goals is very helpful. That's something that we do for the university with K-State 2025 goals and themes. And so even here is an example from K-State Vet Med and showing how they utilize the hashtag K-State 2025 for their mobile surgery unit, and kind of just showing how that ties into K-State 2025. Anytime that there's some type of content that ties into one of the themes for 2025, we are asking folks to use that hashtag on Twitter and on other social media channels. For K-State in particular, using K-State Today is very helpful. You can tweet right from the actual announcement on K-State Today, but it's also a really good place for you to find the current events and news that might be relevant to tweet about. And here's an example from the Alumni Center asking for what you want on Twitter. So if you're looking for more follows, if you're looking for retweets, comments, favorites, mentions, just ask for what you're looking for. And so this was a perfect example for a campaign that they were doing. They were asking people to vote for and retweet this tweet promoting Willie the Wildcat. There was some kind of mascot of the year competition. And so they asked, and as you can see, they had like 52 retweets there. And then seizing the moment is similar to what we were talking about regarding trend jacking, just looking at the different hashtags that are trending on Twitter and seeing how you can then relate that back to your account, the content that you share on your account. And on this actual blog post, we have a link to the national days of the year. So they won't sneak up on you, because sometimes they do if it's like a trend that you're seeing trending hashtag, but a lot of these you can plan out in your content, whatever your editorial calendar or however you're scheduling your content. And so here was an example of National Ice Cream Month. We had planned in advance. As you all know, we love Call Hall ice cream here at K-State, and so we knew that this would be a tweet that would definitely get some engagement. And moving right along here, we're looking at promoting an article or blog post. And so instead of just giving the link or just using the headline and posting a link, why not ask a question to get some better engagement here? And as you can see, they're using our best practices, Twitter best practices, by using a graphic. They've got a bit.ly link here that they can then track and see how many people clicked the link and get some analytics off of that later. And also tagging the College of Education, because they were, instead of just writing out K-State College of Education, they actually tagged them here, which is really important and can help to get the attention of whoever it is that you're tweeting about. Almost through here, looking at the different ways to show the human side of your department, college, program, unit, or even if you're using Twitter personally, showing a human side. And so I thought this was a good example from K-State Cancer Research Center. They're showcasing the volunteers that helped them put together this event. So this is kind of showing a human side, but also showing behind the scenes and the work that goes into creating events. And I thought that was good. We kind of already talked about asking questions, answering questions, but it is popular on Tuesdays. The hashtag Tip Tuesday is pretty popular. And so you've got admissions here doing a tip. Here's the IT help desk doing a tip as well. And so that's something that can help you create more content. And then we also kind of talked about this already with being visual and creative with your visuals. That'll definitely grab people's attention. Video is something that people are utilizing more and more on Twitter. And so this particular tweet was a short 15-second video. And I believe the time limit on your videos on Twitter is 30 seconds. So as long as your video is within 30 seconds, you can upload it from your desktop or on your mobile device, which is a really good way to catch people's attention on your Twitter feed.
You're ready to stop?
No, I just want to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay.
Okay, so just minimize your here. That one, no, yep, there you go.
Okay. And so getting back to the PowerPoint here. In talking about how to boost web traffic, we talk a lot about visuals, but that is super important. Quality visuals on Twitter definitely are important. Teasing your followers as far as to enticing them to click a link to learn more. Utilizing your Twitter bio link is very important too. A lot of times if someone is going to decide if they're going to follow you or not, sometimes they'll look at your Twitter bio. So your bio needs to be strong and give people a good idea of what it is that you're tweeting about, who you are. And then also that link is really important too. And that link can be changed out depending on what you have going on. So sometimes people will change their bio link out. If they're a blogger, they'll change their link out to their most recent blog and tell people to check out their most recent post. If you're doing a particular campaign or have a really big event coming up, you can change that bio link in your Twitter bio to get more traffic to that particular web page. Being collaborative. The K-State community on Twitter, we're very collaborative. We have roundtable meetings once a month where we talk about upcoming social media events, different events that different departments and colleges are having, different social media campaigns, and we also talk about trends in social media. The 80-20 rule is basically sharing is caring. And so when you're on any type of social channel, it's a two-way communication. You definitely don't want all of your tweets to be your original tweets just about you. You want to be able to share. And the 80% is actually what you want to share, and the 20% will be your tweets that have your call to actions or whatever it is that you're promoting, and the other 80% can be your retweets from related accounts, things that inspire you. Also, just kind of your quoted retweets if you agree with something or any kind of collaborative type of tweet. That's that 80%, and that's also a Twitter best practice. Using the right hashtags, and sometimes you can research your hashtag before you actually send your tweet out just to see if that hashtag is something appropriate, because sometimes a hashtag might have a different meaning and you wouldn't know that until you actually clicked it to research to see how it's being used. And you will find other related hashtags as well sometimes when you do the research. And so you want to make sure that you're using the right hashtags to get the most visibility. And the last tip here on how to boost traffic to a particular website is being repetitive. People log on to Twitter at different times. Twitter is very fast paced, and so it's okay to send out a similar tweet, again, giving the same link, but kind of changing your tweet up a little bit by maybe using a different photo or asking a question, pulling a quote out from the actual content that you're trying to share, and just being repetitive in that way. That can help boost traffic. Finally, we want to talk about some different Twitter tools to use. Hootsuite is a good tool where you can, there's a free version and then there's a paid version. Of course, the free version, you're able to schedule in tweets, which would definitely help. As fast-paced as Twitter is, you definitely want to have several tweets per day if you really want to engage, get the most engagement. And so in doing that, scheduling them out is the best way to go. Buffer is also a social media tool where you can schedule out your tweets and other social media posts. TweetDeck is another. And we also use Trello for the university for content management and scheduling out and managing our social media editorial calendar. And then finally, Twitter Analytics It's definitely good to take a look at your analytics on a regular basis to see what content is resonating with your audience and kind of be able to tweak your content strategy from there. If you're noticing that people are really liking, certain kind of photos, or if they really like videos, or what time are they what time are you getting the most engagement? You can kind of use that to create more engagement in the future. And so talking about analytics, this is just a quick screenshot from the K-State account showcasing the Twitter analytics on your back end of your Twitter account. You'll be able to see how you're doing, and they'll give you a monthly little overview summary here. And then you can, of course, go on each individual tweet to see more specific information. But this is just highlighting our last month and showing our top tweet, our top mention here. And then it's going to also show us how many new followers, how many profile visits. So this just gives you a good idea of the numbers and tracking the metrics on your Twitter account. Additional resources, as we looked at the social media blog, there are other blog posts there that are related to different social media best practices. We do have a website, kstate.edu/social media, and you can find our social media directory there that showcases all of our social media, official K-State social media accounts, and then also our monthly social media roundtable meetings. At this time, I will go ahead and take any questions if there are any.
And start your video back up. Mm-hmm. And then we can stop the screen share at the top. Okay. I think we already had at least one question that came in. So Rebecca Gould says, I regularly review President Schultz's tweets. How do you go from 0 to 24,000 plus followers?
Well, I would say that definitely did not happen overnight. President Schultz is very savvy on Twitter. He engages regularly with students and different university stakeholders and university alumni. And so I think that was something that he was able to do through consistency. If you notice, he definitely tweets every day, and he engages. When people ask him a question, he answers the question, or he at least responds to let them know that we're working on it. And he pretty much developed a rapport with his Twitter followers when they knew that it was him. They knew he was being authentic, and that if they needed to reach him, they could send a tweet. If they needed to let him know, hey, it's snowing and we're hoping for a snow day tomorrow, they knew that they could ask President Schultz and he would give them the scoop. So I think that he was able to build his account following, not overnight, but through consistency and through engagement. Hope that answers.
I think that answers it very well. Does anybody else have any questions that they'd like to ask at this time? Feel free to unmute your microphone or send them in over the chat. And maybe while people are thinking, one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, if you watched the previous session of Tech Tips from previous weeks, I did say that President Schultz was going to be the one giving this presentation today over Twitter, but he had a schedule change, and last minute Sheila was thankfully able to fill in, and I think she's done a great job today. So before we leave, I definitely want to say thank you for filling in and doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Sheila, this is Rebecca again, and I wanted to ask another question. So the 24,000 is great, but sometimes they put up things that are inappropriate. Is that a setting that allows a person to review before the tweet goes up, or do you take the tweet down after it's been posted?
So are we referring to tweets coming from President Schultz's account or people that are tweeting at him?
People that are tweeting to him that are inappropriate.
There is not a setting that I know of that will, unless you block somebody in particular. I know that there are like different profanity filters on other social channels, like on our Facebook page. I know that there are profanity filters that we can set on our Facebook admin settings to where if somebody just comments randomly on a post, if they have these certain if it meets these certain criteria, like if it's got a curse word in it, or if they're like it's in all caps, really spammy, we can block it from being posted. But on Twitter, it is a little bit different. Pretty much it's open for people to be able to have a two-way communication. And if it does happen to be something that is inappropriate, then we tell people not to respond if it's something that is like a personal attack, or if it's got profanity. But if they're asking a general question that can be answered, a lot of times we'll tell them, hey, send us an email and we can address your concern there. But as far as being able to block like inappropriate comments, that's kind of one of those risks, I guess, that you take when you're on social media.
So you can't block, but can you delete?
You can't delete somebody else's tweet.
Okay.
So if I'm tweeting from my personal account or from the K-State account, for example, if we send a tweet out and people are sending some inappropriate things back to us, we can't delete their tweet because it's on their account. If they're asking a question, we can certainly tweet back to them and say, like we were saying, send an email if you have, we can address your concern. But we oftentimes don't engage in that back and forth dialogue because there's a lot of times there's a big difference between a troll on Twitter, somebody that's constantly being negative and just they're not really trying to get a question answered. They're just more so harassing. And then there are people that are asking genuine questions, and if that's the case, we'll send them back, tell them to email us so that we can really address the issue.
Kathy, I see your question there about, in general, what is the best practice for handling negative comments, but I think you've pretty much covered that.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out there is a difference between being an inappropriate tweet versus something that just might seem negative to you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I see people not respond at all. Just because it's negative, don't you think at least it deserves some kind of response? As long as it's not inappropriate. I guess that's what a clarification I was trying to get at.
Oh, for sure. I think that recently there have been comments on Twitter in particular that might be perceived as negative. And then there's always what you don't see, because they're going through an inbox messaging. We do utilize a tool called Nuvi. It's a social media monitoring dashboard, and we're able to track and monitor certain keywords. And so depending on what's going on at the time, we'll kind of modify our monitors so that we can see what the conversation is, and so we won't miss out on those tweets, because sometimes people are going to be talking about K-State, but they're not tweeting at us, so it won't show up in our notifications. But we want to see what's being said so that we can respond accordingly. But as far as your question is the negative comments, yes, just because, it might be kind of like a constructive criticism, and it might need a response. The other thing is we only have so many characters on Twitter, and so that's why we oftentimes will tell people, hey, give us details, send your concern to our email address, and that way we can really address their issue. And then everybody else that sees our response can see, oh, they actually are listening.
Okay. Another question that came in, would it be wise to have a personal Twitter account and a separate work Twitter account for work-related tweets?
I would say in the world of social media and the internet, nothing is really protected. I feel like a lot of times people will try to protect their account and like have like a protected account where people can't see what they're tweeting. I still think you run a risk there because you could end up accepting a follow from somebody that might not be the person that you thought, and then people can take screenshots, which people are notorious, that happens on any kind of social channel. People can take a screenshot, and then even if you delete your tweet, it's there and they can like send it out and it can go viral. So I would say if you don't want your boss to know about it, then just don't tweet about it. And I know that that's kind of hard advice, but I just think that that's the digital age that we're living in. And I think that now is a time when people are really thinking about their personal brand as professionals. And we really do have to be careful what it is that we're posting. In previous trainings, we've even told people, if you don't want it to be a headline, don't tweet it. And I know that sounds kind of harsh again, but I, as a former news reporter, is my background, and reporters use social media to find news tips. And if you're affiliated with the university and you're tweeting something, they can easily take that, turn it into a story, and then be contacting your dean or whoever it is, to get additional comments. So once you tweet it, it is like a headline. So that's why I say, yes, you could try to have a protected personal account and then your professional account, but I still feel that you could be running the risk of having something that you tweet be misinterpreted, even if it is on a personal account.
And just to talk a little bit more about that, even if you weren't tweeting anything inappropriate, the audience would be different though. So if you were trying to establish a professional, brand with your university or your business or whatever it might be, in that case, wouldn't it kind of be separate? And maybe you had another one that you wanted a family to be on. Maybe you didn't care that anybody saw them, but definitely you have two different audiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there are strategies that you could take. There are different channels that lend themselves well to certain audiences. So, LinkedIn is a great tool for professional networking, and Twitter is as well. Facebook tends to be a little more personal, and the posts on Facebook are a little bit more protected, privacy protected. And so I do think that having a personal and a professional profile on Twitter could be useful. I still think that no matter what social channel you're on, and no matter if it's your personal or professional account, that you still would want to make sure that it's something that you wouldn't mind everybody seeing. And so, yes, if you have an outside business, or if you have a personal profile where you want to share pictures of your kids or just different type of content that you might not need to be sharing with coworkers or different people within your industry, then certainly having two different accounts in that case would make perfect sense.
Okay. Do we have any last minute questions? I know we're running kind of out of time. Okay. I think that's going to wrap it up. Once again, I want to say thank you to Sheila for filling in last minute. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more time. We do have the information for next week's session up on the website now. Next week, Sheila will be back with us to talk about Instagram. Don't know how you're going to top today because today was really great, but I'm sure it will be just as interesting for next week. Again, if you want to review the recording from today or any of our past sessions, they are on our website here at k-state.edu/its/tech-tips-live. If you have any questions or comments or requests for future topics, please send those to me, Shelley Troyer. And I think that's about it, and hope everyone has a great week.
Thank you.